guys, and welcome back to another fall reading vlog. I am so excited, as I am for all my videos, especially in the fall, because I just love reading in the fall. It's so fun. I feel like so many books I like almost save for the fall season, and I'm so excited to read a lot of them with you, especially books that are on my fall TBR. The goal in these videos is to read a lot of them and read them with you. So I'm so excited about today's video because we have some exciting books that I'm actually kind of reading all of them at the current moment. So I've just decided to like make this vlog just reading these 3 books that I'm kind of currently reading right now. First, I started One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, which I've been wanting to read for so long, especially since I read Belladonna. I feel like the gothic vibes of that made me so excited for this one because I've heard such good things about this book. I'm currently on page 43, so I haven't made much progress of this, but I started it a few days ago and I'm really intrigued so far. I feel like the premise of this book is so unique and interesting. So it's basically about this girl who has this monster in her head, and like basically when she was a kid she got this illness and then she got this monster in her head that like talks and stuff in her head. And basically the magic system in this world is like with playing cards, and there's this mist that is around this town and you have to have all the playing cards to get the mist to go away. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it sounds very complicated when I'm explaining it, but when you read it I feel like it does make sense. Like, I can't explain it, but I understand what's going on and the premise. And I'm very excited to continue. I'm excited to see what happens because I've just heard such good things about this duology. I also have the second one. I borrowed both of them from the library and I'm just very excited to see what happens. I feel like this is perfect for October because it's giving like spooky gothic vibes. I think there's a romance in it. I really like the writing. I feel like it's pretty easy to understand and to read. Anyways, so I'm reading that. And then the next book that I'm reading, y'all have been waiting. I have been waiting. Everyone has been waiting for me to read this book. The Invisible Life of Addie Larue. Yes, ma'am. I'm reading it. It was on my fall or my October TBR in my video. I am reading it. Yes, I am. I am reading this book. You should be proud. Round of applause. Maybe we should say that for when I finish it, but I'm reading this book. I have been listening to the audio, like pretty much exclusively on audio so far, and I am 36% through the book on part 3. So there's not really chapters, or there's chapters in the parts. So yeah, on part 3 called 300 Years in 3 Words. Oh, I know what the 3 words are. And I feel like right now, the part that I got to, I feel like the rest of the book is gonna go by pretty fast, which I honestly have listened to like this 30% pretty quickly. I have been listening on 2x speed, and I did read like 70 pages the first time I tried to read this, and then I put it down. So like I kind of skipped a little bit ahead because I didn't want to like re-listen to what I'd already read. But basically, if you don't know what this book is about, which you probably do, I feel like it's very popular. Basically, this book is about this girl named Addie Larue, and she, some circumstances happened, she made this wish, and this like god or like devil, I don't know, basically like it was like, here you go, you'll live forever, but no one will remember her. So she's living this like life, you're just following her life as no one remembers her. So there's like kind of a past and present timeline. The past is when she kind of like first got this like curse put on her, and then in the present is like 300 years later. The past timeline right now is in Paris, and the present timeline is in New York City, which I really love. I love a book set in New York City. So it's kind of the premise of this book, and so far I'm enjoying it. I do have to say, the past timeline, I get very bored and just want to skip back to the New York City timeline, like the present timeline. I just am kind of bored with the past timeline, but I have a guess for what's gonna happen, and I'm assuming like the past is very important to the story and how it's gonna go. But I am enjoying it. Where we are now, I feel like the book is gonna pick up because something happened, which I'm very excited about. So that's kind of my first thought so far on this book. I am enjoying it. I do like the like historical vibe. The writing is easy. Also, Julia Whalen narrates the audiobook, so it's really good, and I feel like it's easy to understand. Like, I'm listening to it on 2x speed and I'm very much understanding what's going on. Because I feel like sometimes I listen to like 1.75, but I'm enjoying this, understanding it. Also, it is a fantasy, so like those are just a little bit harder to understand than like a romance on audio, but I'm really enjoying the audiobook. I might like physically read it. I don't know. I feel like the past timeline, I still just like don't want to read physically because it's so boring for me. But anyways, kind of my update on this book. I am really enjoying it so far. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm scared that the end is going to be sad, and I really am tempted to Google the end because I hate reading a book that has a sad ending. I hate it so much. Like, I want a happy ending or like a satisfying ending. So I hope that's the case, but I've seen people cry at the end of this, which scares me. So anyways, reading that, feeling very accomplished. Like, when I went and got my book and like put the like tab in here and saw how far I'm in the book. I'm so happy with myself. Anyways, and then the last book for this video, I'm going to read The Firelight Apprentice, which is by Brie Paulson, who wrote Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch, which I read in September. Really enjoyed their little graphic novels, so cute. And I saw that she was coming out with a new graphic novel, so I requested it on NetGalley, and I'm very excited to read it. I don't know much about it. I've read the summary, but I still don't know what it's about. But I am going to read it on my phone, first because it's a graphic novel, so I just want to see the color, but also because of the way that the file downloaded, you have to like read it on your phone or like download it. Like it doesn't go to your Kindle because it's like I don't really know what the file is, but since it's a graphic novel, it doesn't go to your Kindle. Anyway, so I'm excited to read that. I'm probably going to read that tonight, honestly, like just quick little graphic novel. I don't want to keep saying graphic audio. Just a quick little graphic novel, and I'm very excited. I love her art style, so I'm excited to see what I think of this. It's probably gonna be a very quick read while I'm uploading photos because I've gotten a lot of listening done of The Invisible Life of Addie Larue because I've been like finishing up a wedding, editing it and listening, and I've gotten so much done. So that is my reading update. I usually don't read like multiple books at once, but this is just kind of how the cookie crumbled. I'm like reading all of these today, but I'm so excited to read them. Also, I'm excited because like this reading vlog, this is what I'm gonna be reading, and I can't steer away. I can't go off on a whole nother rabbit trail like I tend to do when I pick out my books. I just like literally pick up the most random books because I'm such a mood reader. Like somebody posts about it, I immediately want to read it. So anyways, that is what I'm gonna read in this video. I'm excited to take you along and share my thoughts on these books. It has been a minute since I've like actually updated you and chatted, so I thought I would give a little reading update. First, I finished The Firelight Apprentice, which was the little graphic novel I read. Pretty much read it in one sitting. Not pretty much, I did read it in one sitting, and it was so cute. I think it's my favorite by that author. It comes out in October, like October 29th, I want to say, but basically it's about this girl who she has powers and she needs a like magician or something like that to like help her learn her magic, and she lives with her sister and her dad, and there was also this like war and the magicians had to work for the king. Anyway, it's hard to explain a graphic novel, but basically it's kind of the premise of the book. But I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was very like, well, graphic novel is just so easy to read, but I feel like it was very engaging. Like I wanted to keep reading it, and I was like really enjoying the storyline and the plot, and was just curious what was gonna happen because I feel like Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch were very short, pretty like character driven stories, while this one I feel like is more like plot based. And it was very interesting. I also just love her art style. I love her graphic novels. Like I wish she had more of them because they're so good. I highly recommend this one for the fall. It's my favorite by her, and I just had a really good time reading it. It was so quick, so easy. I feel like even just like a quick graphic novel, I really felt for the characters and was interested in the storyline, which is always a good sign. So highly recommend this for the fall. So cute when it comes out in a few weeks. And then, as you saw, I finished The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V. Schwab, and I feel so accomplished right now. Like I truly do, because I have had this on my TBR cart. Well, I've had it on my TBR for so long, but I've had it on my actual TBR cart since June of 2023. So over a year I've had this book and just have not read it. So the day finally came. I finished this book. I pretty much exclusively listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook was incredible, like so good. I read a few chapters on my Kindle because it's on Kindle Unlimited, but I feel like when I was reading I wasn't like enjoying it. Well, I was enjoying it, but like I was like wishing I was listening to it because the narrator was just incredible. And then the last little bit I like listened and like followed along on my Kindle, which I just loved. Like the audiobook is so good. If you're wanting to read this, if you like audiobooks, I highly recommend this one because it's narrated by Julia Whalen, who is just an incredible audiobook narrator. So I loved the audiobook. And I feel like when I read or like listen to audiobooks, I usually don't feel connected to the story. Like just because it's listening, I don't know, I kind of feel like removed from the story a lot of the times. But I feel like with this book, like the audiobook was so good. Like I literally was so interested in the story, engaged with what was going on, like literally on the edge of my seat. I listened to the entire audiobook in pretty much a day, which is kind of crazy, but I wanted to give like my thoughts obviously of this book, and I honestly love this book so much. I don't necessarily regret waiting so long to read it because I feel like I was just in the perfect mood for this book, and I feel like if I would have read it at a time when I wasn't in the mood for it, I might not have enjoyed it as much, or like the slow pacing might have like pushed me off. Like obviously I read like 70 pages of it and I was like kind of feeling slumpy, so I put it down because I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it because I wasn't like in the right mood, you know? So it is like very slow paced. It's kind of very mundane at times. There's definitely like a melancholy vibe to it. Like it's pretty sad because you're truly following Addie as she's just living life for like 300 years and just the daily mundane things that are happening in her life. So the pace is a lot slower, especially for a fantasy, but I still like loved it so much, and I was so interested in the story and what was going to happen, especially towards the end. It was honestly pretty brutal end, but I feel like it was a very satisfying ending. Like I really liked the ending actually. I feel like this book is the type of book that's going to make you think. Like you just like learn so much. I don't know how to explain it. Like I feel like sometimes you pick up a book, it's a fun, good time, enjoyable, entertaining, and then sometimes you pick up a book that just really makes you think, and there's so many aspects of the story that you're like, wow, that was crazy, that was so good, and moments from the book that you'll never forget. That's how I felt about this book. Like it was just so good, and like there were so many lessons in this book and so many things to take away. I don't know how to explain it, and I don't know what to rate it. I am honestly thinking like a 4.75, but then I'm like, the more I think about it, it makes me want to bump it up to a 5. So I don't really know what I'm going to rate it. I'll probably give my final rating at the end of this video. I don't know. I feel like it's very different than any other fantasy that I've read because it's very like, she's just living life in the normal world. Like she's living in New York City, and then in the past timeline she's in France and all these other countries. So it's very much like just a normal world, like our world, but just she's living forever. No one remembers her, and you're just kind of following her and her journey. And there's nothing like necessarily high stakes like a war going on in this, but it was still so good. Like I get why everyone talks about this book and how good it is, because I feel like there's just something special like in this book. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it was just so good. I loved it so much. I do recommend it. It is slow paced, so like I would probably know that going into it, but like I said, the audiobook is incredible. I think I would still enjoy it if I read it, but just because I was listening to it and the narrator is so good, the audiobook was incredible. I feel like she's also so good at like accents and voices and the inflection or tone, like when she was reading different people's POV. It's only in Addie's POV, but like other people that she interacts with, it was just so good. Literally so good. I also really want to read more of the E. Schwab's books because I've just heard amazing things. Like obviously like this one's so popular, but I've heard really good things about Vicious and Vengeful, and then the A Darker Shade of Magic series. So I really want to read more of her books because I love her writing. That was another thing about this book. Her writing is absolutely beautiful. Even just the acknowledgments at the end, like I was just blown away by just the way that she writes. I feel like you read books sometimes and the author, the way that they write is very specific. It's very lyrical, and even in their acknowledgments you can feel that, which I just love that so much. So I'm not gonna read part of her acknowledgments because I don't want to read the book, me reading the acknowledgments to you, but it's just kind of gonna give you a little bit of glimpse of her writing. It says, anyone who follows me online knows I have a rather fraught relationship with stories, or rather with bringing them to life, with holding up the whole messy beast until my arms shake and my head hurts, and I know if I drop it now before it's ready, it will shatter and I'll have to sweep it up, and I'll lose at least a few of the pieces along the way. And so while I held up Addie's story, so many people held up me. Without them, there would be no book. This is where I'm supposed to acknowledge them all. I hate acknowledgements, or rather, I hate acknowledgements with a capital A. That's funny. I have a terrible memory. My mind, I think, has been buried full of holes by all these books, so when it comes to thanking the people who helped this book come into being, I freeze up. Certain that I'll forget. I know I'll forget. I'm always forgetting. I think that's why I write, to try and catch the ideas before they slip away and leave me staring off into space, wondering why I walked into this room, or why I opened that browser tab, or what I was looking for in the fridge. It's ironic, of course, given the theme of this book. This book, which lived in my head for so long and took up so much space, it's responsible for at least some of the forgetting. Anyways, I just like, even just those like, words in her acknowledgements, like you can just get a feel of her writing style and like the metaphorical, like even like just the lyrical way that she writes, which I love lyrical writing. So love that also about this book. It was just so good. Like I absolutely absolutely loved it. I definitely recommend. It's very different from other books that I've read, which I think also is another reason why I loved it so much. So anyways, that is my review of this book, which is just crazy. Like, it finally happened. I finally read this book. It happened. I'm so proud of myself. So for the next book and the last book in this video, I am reading One Dark Window, which I talked about a little bit earlier. I am like 70 pages in. I'm really enjoying it, very intrigued. I don't really have anything more to say than I haven't said earlier in my first update, but we did meet a guy, which is very intriguing, and she went to like the little kingdom with the king, I guess. And I'm very excited to see where the story goes. I feel like it's like perfect for October, so very excited to continue that. Kind of in very much the same location since last time I chatted with you, but I wanted to give a little reading update before I sit down and read a little bit. I am still reading One Dark Window, obviously, and I'm on page 128. And sadly, I feel like since I finished The Invisible Life of Addie Larue, I cannot stop thinking about it, and it's really hindering me being able to read anything else. I've only read one other book, and it was an audiobook that I finished, and I've been like slowly making my way through this and picking up other things and haven't really been able to read, but I'm committed to finishing this because I'm like a good chunk of the way through. I feel like the plot has really been set up, so now I just need to keep reading. Also, I feel like it is so loud right now because the washer's going, the air's on, the dogs are walking around. That's just the vibes we got going on here, but I'm really enjoying this book when I pick it up, but it's just my dog is literally walking through my tripod. Okay, the process, okay. It's just like the process of picking this book up is a struggle, and it's not the book, it's me, definitely. But I'm committed to trying to finish this in the next couple days, like today or tomorrow. I feel like I haven't read much and I'm already over 100 pages in, so like I've read a good chunk. I just need to keep reading, basically. And I am really interested in the plot, the storyline. I've heard the end of this is crazy, so I really want to keep reading it and see what happens. But I feel like right now I'm not super invested, but then I have to tell myself like I'm literally 100 pages into the first fantasy book and like a duology. Like, I'm still learning the world, the politics, the plot is just being set up, so I have to give it more time, and I know that's the case. So I'm gonna sit down and read this, and we are gonna hopefully make a good dent. I would like to I want to read a good chunk of this so I could get super invested in it and want to finish it today, because it's like 2:51. I feel like I could finish this today if I really binge it. We are watching one episode of Love is Blind because we have an episode left that's out, but besides that I need to just read this. That's what I need to do. What are you doing down here? What are you doing down here? Oh, this is fine. Oh, gotcha. One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and I wanted to give my final rating review. So I feel like I read the second half a lot quicker than I read the first half, and I did really enjoy the end. I feel like it got, like, the second half definitely picked up. There was a lot more going on. I feel like once the plot was set up, like, it got more fast paced, which I really enjoyed. And overall, I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I just feel like I really enjoyed the plot. The vibes, the gothic vibes are so good in this. Like, this is the perfect time of year to read this because it's very like spooky kind of. The writing and just the way that Rachel like really encapsulates the gothic setting is really, really good in this book. And I feel like what stands out about this book is the vibes and the setting and the gothic tone of this book. But I feel like I just didn't feel super connected to the characters or the romance. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when it was on the page. I enjoyed the characters, but I didn't feel like super connected. So I've read like 40 pages of Two Twisted Crowns and I haven't continued it because I feel like I'm not super invested. There's not that aspect of like caring for the characters. Like, I want to know what happens to them because I just don't feel that connected to the story, basically. I did enjoy it. I do recommend it, especially for this time of year. But I do like gothic vibes wise. I liked Belladonna way more. I love that series, but also because I read this after Addie Larue, it was just hard to like read anything. So honestly, I feel like any book was gonna like not live up to that, but I still enjoyed it. I still would recommend it, and I am going to eventually read Two Twisted Crowns. Usually I feel like with duologies or trilogies, I try to read them pretty much back to back, but I tried to read Two Twisted Crowns and I just couldn't get into it. I might listen to the audiobook or something, but anyways, that is my review of One Dark Window, and I thought I would give a little wrap up of this video. So first, I read The Firelight Apprentice by Brie Paulson, and I gave that 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. Honestly, I gave that 4 stars, but I enjoyed it probably more than One Dark Window. I don't know. I just loved the art style, the storyline, the characters. I felt super connected to it, even though it was a graphic novel, and I just really recommend it, especially for this time of year. And then I read The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab, and I am upping my rating to 5 stars because I have not stopped thinking about this book since I finished it. I'm in one of the biggest reading slumps I've been in. Like, I cannot read anything. I've started so many books, read 50 pages, read 30 pages, whatever, read a chapter, put it down, and can't pick it back up. Like, I literally physically don't know how to read. I cannot read. I mean, I know how to read, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just struggling to read anything after this book. It like changed something in my brain. I don't know how to explain it. It's just so good. I love this book. It's definitely a new favorite, which is crazy to me because it was on my TBR cart for so long, but it was just so good. I love these characters. I literally ordered the UK edition of this book because I just love it so much. I want that one to display on my shelf. So anyways, it was just so good. I did up my rating, and I needed to tell you that. It was just so different than anything I've ever read, and I learned like so much. I feel like there's so many takeaways in this book. Anyways, this was definitely the standout of the video. Then I obviously read One Dark Window, gave it 4 stars as well. So anyways, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. I love filming these videos. Let me know if you want to see more. Hopefully I will get out of my slump and I will read more fall books because I still consider fall in November because that's really when fall happens in Alabama. So I plan to read some more fall books, more of my fall TBR in the next few weeks. So let's hope I get out of my slump, but Addie Larue was just so good. Like, I literally loved it so much. So anyways, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.